Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share my journey with you and the 7 financial habits that helped me to achieve the millionaire status. When I said that I'm a millionaire, even if I find it a bit hard to believe in it, I included the word actually in the title of this video because I'm playing by YouTube's rules, not because I want to brag about it. When I say millionaire, I don't mean I have €1 million sitting in my bank account, just like Elon Musk or Warren Buffett don't have $200 billion sitting in theirs, or anyone else on the Forbes list for that matter. I'm talking about the total value of the assets I own. My business partner and I purchased a hotel 2 years ago already, and my share of it exceeds €1 million. That's why I can confidently call myself a millionaire with a clear confidence, even if it's still surreal for me. Here's my first tip. It's a bit different from the mainstream minimalism advice. You've probably heard people suggesting skipping your weekly Starbucks, for example, or not getting your nails done to save a few bucks, like €40 a month. But I see things differently. Cutting out every small joy just to save a little isn't going to drastically change your life, especially if you live in a developed country. Now, let's think about how these small joys impact your mental well-being. If spending that little bit of money gives you positive energy and makes you feel better, perform better, then why not? I believe we don't just earn money to save and postpone our lives to some future day to enjoy it later. We live now. Time is something we can't predict. Will we be healthy tomorrow? Will we even be here tomorrow? And even if we are, will we have the energy in our 50s or 60s to enjoy those little joys? That's why for me, minimalism is more about mindful consumption, spending with intention and balance. It's not about depriving yourself, but about making smart choices that align with your well-being. The next point was a difficult lesson for me that took me a lot actually to understand its meaning. Back in university, I used to buy cheap shoes for €20. They would fall apart in a couple of months and actually didn't favor to my feet given the poor materials of them. The same went for budget outwear, which would wear out quickly. I even used to skim on food quality, buying was cheap rather than healthy things. When I started working in consulting, the founder of our company said something that stuck with me. It's better to go to a good restaurant once a month than to bad ones several times. At that time, I argued with him. But over the years, I naturally began prioritizing quality in my life. I invested in high-quality coat and durable bags that I've used for years actually. And their quality hasn't diminished with years. And actually the price hasn't diminished that much. Now I would rather eat out less, but choose restaurants where the food and experience feels like an investment in my health, in my mental well-being, and so on. And when you feel better, you make better decisions in your life, you see more opportunities. A lot of people focus on saving as their main financial goal. And don't get me wrong, saving is very important, but you can save your way to wealth alone. Let's break it down. Say you invest €10,000 upfront and add €500 a month, which is already a lot for most people in Europe. After 30 years, at a 7% return, you would have nearly €700,000. Sounds good, right? But factor in inflation, which averages 4% per year, and you're really just maintaining your current standard of living. The real key to wealth is increasing your earning potential. For instance, if your hourly rate €20, how can you raise it to €50? Celebrities, for example, can charge hundreds of thousands for a single hour of their time. Alternatively, you can create a product or service that scales, reaching more people or commanding higher prices. In my hotel, for example, there are 43 rooms. I can add more rooms, but I can increase the hourly rate. However, every business has its price limits and I have only 43 rooms that I cannot increase. If I invented a new type of razor, for example, I would access to a global market and I could scale infinitely, first in terms of numbers and working on my brand reputation in terms of price. When I started out, I focused on increasing my hourly rate as an expert, because it made the most sense of my situation. I was starting from scratch in a foreign country and I needed a solid foundation before taking bigger risk with my own business. If I had a more solid ground and no need to have a job to get a resident permit in Italy, I would have probably started with my own business earlier. I think for sure, but I didn't have any support, it just was me. You've probably heard of the famous 50-30-20 rule. 50% of your income goes to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings or investments. It's a good guideline when you're starting out, but as your income grows, it starts to lose its relevance. Here's my take. As your income increases, you should allocate a larger percentage to investments and personal growth. If my income grows by 10%, I don't increase my expenses by the same amount. I might only increase them by 2%, for example. Your income and expenses don't have to rise in parallel. There is a common belief that renting is like throwing money away. But for me, the rule has always been this. If I invest in real estate, it should be paid for someone else, for example, by tenants or tourists. If I had bought a home for myself, I would have tied up to 20% of its value for years, limiting my financial flexibility. Even if my mortgage payments match my rent, I would have to start saving from scratch, which could block other opportunities like buying a hotel or invest in better projects with a high return on investment. For example, a small apartment near Lake Garda, where actually situated my hotel, can generate 30,000, 35,000 euros annually in rental income. This kind of project has normally 50% of margins, what means after expenses and mortgage payments, I will still have a net win of 15,000 euros. Compare that to my rental cost of 10,000 euros annually. I'm still 5,000 euros ahead. One of the most important habits I've developed is consistently tracking my income and expenses. In the past, I would always start the year with a clear financial goal in my mind. How much I wanted to save by year end. For instance, if my goal was to save 30,000 euros, I would plan on spending around that target. I would begin by prioritizing essential expenses like housing and bills, then I would allocate the remaining funds for discretionary spending, things that bring joy or value to my life. At the same time, I would constantly think about ways to increase my annual income. As my income grew, I would reassess my priorities. What mattered more at this point in my life? Upgrading my living conditions, eating better food, or enjoying quality vacations? I would list out my priorities and adjust my budget accordingly. For example, I didn't feel the need to live in a fancy apartment, but I valued having access to a better gym, better hotels, or, for example, healthier food options. Tracking your spending isn't just about cutting costs, it's about aligning your finances with your goals and needs and values at the time. When you know exactly where your money is going, it becomes easier to make intentional decisions that support your long-term vision. Let's move on to another important point: planning your purchases. This might sound simple, but it's incredibly effective. I like to plan my weekly meals in advance, which means I only buy the groceries I know I will use. This avoids waste and keeps my spending very focused. The same principle applies to shopping, for example. Before making a purchase, I always ask myself, do I already have something like this? Spontaneous purchases are rare for me, really. They just don't happen normally. Even during sales, I only buy items that I've previously identified as necessary. Another habit that keeps me disciplined is limiting my storage space. I have a really small wardrobe, and I did it on purpose. It forces me to be selective and prevents clutter. I also avoid buying additional storage solutions just to accommodate extra stuff. It's a great way to stay intentional about what I bring into my life. For larger purchases, I always think about the long-term value. Will this item truly serve me over time? If not, I skip it. This simple but strategic approach has saved me from countless unnecessary expenses. So thanks for watching until the end. I hope these habits inspire you to rethink your approach to finances. Let me know your own tips in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you in the next video. Thank you.